Other types of annotation groups might include, for example, drawing a profile grid. And so under our annotation groups, profile drawing, these are what are delivered with our examples workspace. And so we take a look, for example, at our profile grid by selecting right-click and manage. This profile grid has a number of different entries or sets of categories that you can set up. And again, I'll be showing in a later video how we can copy these over from our delivered workspace where you can simply modify them. But you can always turn on your display. You can do a fit view. You can zoom in and out with your wheel mouse. And so in this particular annotation definition in this group, we are setting up our tick marks along the edges of our grid. We're also introducing our interior grid lines, setting up those element templates for the proper custom line styles. And so if you take a look at some of the settings, the border represents the outside square or rectangle. The major grid properties, for example, the interval will be along the bottom. We've told it, for example, every 100 feet, we're setting our element template for that. On our vertical major grid labels, we told it we want a label every 10 feet in elevation. We can control where that's positioned, also the tick length, and that's in a 1-to-1 scale. And then you can go down through the other categories. You have your minor grid properties, and then you have your major minor grid line properties. So these are the grid properties and these are the grid line properties. So that's the difference there in setting up those inside lines. You also have the horizontal axis title. If you want a title down here, you can have a vertical axis title. You have your horizontal tick labels, the 0 and 1 stations. Those are examples of your horizontal tick labels. And then your vertical tick labels, our example here on this particular text favorite would be showing our elevations vertically. You also have the ability to do horizontal minor ticks. So let's say that if you wanted to do a plus 50 or, every, 25 feet, whatever, you could set up a minor tick mark here as well. And just to mention something here at this point, when you make changes in your annotations, to save those changes, you must close the dialog. Another thing to point out is to control the text size in that dialog, that's going to be your active drawing scale, but you have to change it when the annotation manager is not opened. And so if I wanted my text to appear larger in my preview window, I'll exit, I'll change the annotation scale, come back into manage, and then when I come into manage, I can turn on my display, and you will see that text is twice as big as it was before because we went from a 50 scale to a 100 scale. And so that's how you control that particular text size in the preview. You also have the ability to hide what you have selected or to highlight what you have selected. For example, that relates to your annotation groups. And so if I highlight my selected, well, it's only one annotation group, so everything is going to be highlighted. Or if I hide it, it's going to turn everything off, obviously. And so these are just your zoom commands in your annotation manager. This allows us to copy and paste, and so we wanted to make a copy of profile grid. We're going to be talking about that later. We also have the ability to move our annotation definitions in our list up and down. Just one caution on this, use these two icons slowly, allow it to move and then refresh the dialogues before you press it again, or you may run into instability. And then you also have the ability to export this information to an XML file, and then you can import that XML file to another DGNlib. So that's another way to transfer information. But we're going to look at another way in another video here shortly on how to bring our annotations over to our working DGN library.